They said humanity was soft, fragile, built for comfort, not combat. The Galactic Council had seen 1,000 warrior races rise and fall, but Earth was a curiosity. A planet of storytellers and dreamers who'd somehow stumbled into the stars. So when the human ambassador requested trial by combat, the arena fell silent. Not with anticipation, with pity. The holding cell smelled like ozone and something else. Fear, maybe, though Kira Chen wasn't sure if it was hers or just residue from whatever poor bastard had occupied this space before her. She sat on the metal bench, elbows on knees, staring at her hands. Normal hands, 5 fingers, no claws, no chitinous plating, no bioluminescent threat displays, just hands. This is categorically insane, Director Patel's voice crackled through her earpiece. We can still invoke diplomatic immunity. The Council will accept. They won't. Kira's voice came out steadier than she felt. We've been through this. Trial by combat is a formality for them, a spectacle. You understand that, yes? The Vrex haven't lost a champion in 200 years. Then we're overdue for an upset. Silence on the other end. Then, quieter. Kira, you don't have to prove anything. She almost laughed. Didn't, because the sound would have come out wrong. Too sharp, too brittle. Yeah, I really do. The communication cut off. Protocol. Once a combatant entered the holding cell, outside contact ceased. You went in alone. You came out alone. Or you didn't come out at all. Kira stood, rolled her shoulders. And the thing about being human, the thing the Galactic Council had completely failed to grasp in the 47 years since first contact, was that humans were exceptionally good at doing monumentally stupid things for reasons that made sense only to them. The door irised open. Beyond it, the tunnel to the arena stretched like a throat. She walked. The arena itself was obscene. That was the word that landed in Kira's head as she emerged into the blinding light. Obscene in its scale. Obscene in its grandeur. 70,000 beings from 200 species packed into crystalline tiers that spiraled upward until they disappeared into the manufactured atmosphere. The roar that greeted her wasn't excitement. It was laughter. The Galactic Arena had hosted 10,000 trials. Diplomatic disputes settled through sanctioned violence. Because apparently, once you hit a certain level of technological advancement, you circled back around to gladiatorial combat as conflict resolution. The logic was simple. Limit casualties to 2 combatants rather than billions. Very civilized, very enlightened, very full of shit in Kira's opinion. She'd studied the footage, watched Vrex champions dismantle opponents with methodical brutality. The Vrex were what happened when evolution decided to optimize for pure violence. 8 feet of corded muscle wrapped around a skeletal structure that could shrug off impacts that would liquefy most organic beings. Their champions trained from birth in the pits, a cultural institution that combined military academy, gladiator school, and religious pilgrimage. And here was Kira Chen, 5'6", 130 pounds. Whose most notable physical achievement was placing 3rd in her high school's regional track meet 15 years ago. The laughter built, rolled across the arena in waves. She'd expected that too. The Council's viewing platform dominated the north side. A sweep of architectural ego, where the 12 ruling species observed proceedings with the bored detachment of gods watching ants. Ambassador Thren of the Vrex stood at the platform's edge, his crest fully extended in what their species considered a gesture of magnanimous patience. Human, his voice boomed through the arena's translation matrix. You may still withdraw. The Council recognizes your species' inexperience with our traditions. No dishonor will attach to your retreat. Kira let the words wash over her, didn't respond, and she was busy cataloging the arena floor. The composition of the sand, the spacing of the weapon racks positioned at cardinal points, the environmental controls that would adjust gravity and atmosphere to whichever species held home advantage. The Vrex had declined to adjust anything. A power move. See, they didn't even need the advantage. Very well. Thren's tone shifted. Professional now. The voice of someone moving through a tedious formality. Let the trial commence. Combatants will... I claim right of armament, Kira said. That shut the laughter down. Thren's crest flattened. Clarify. Article 47 of the trial protocols. Each combatant may requisition one cultural weapon, not exceeding... She rattled off the specific dimensions and mass restrictions without checking her notes, from their homeworld's traditional armory. Tight, I claim that right? A pause. Confused murmuring rippled through the crowd. The Vrex champion, who'd been stretching at the opposite end of the arena with the casual confidence of someone about to swat a particularly slow insect, stopped mid-movement. Humans possess traditional armaments? Thren's translator carried a note of genuine surprise. We do. Very well. What weapon do you claim? Kira raised her hand. In the viewing gallery, Director Patel, watching from Earth via quantum relay, triggered the delivery sequence. The weapon materialized in her grip. A baseball bat, wooden, 34 inches, ash grain running smooth and perfect along its length. The arena exploded with laughter again. Deeper this time. More genuine. This wasn't just funny anymore. It was hilarious. A human, with a stick. Kira hefted the bat, felt its weight, and its balance. She'd specified this particular model because it reminded her of the one her grandfather had used, teaching her to hit in the vacant lot behind his house when she was 9. Before the accident. Before everything. That is your cultural weapon? Thren couldn't quite keep the amusement from his tone. A wooden implement? It'll do. As you wish. Begin. The Vrex champion moved. Sweet baby Jesus, he moved fast. 8 feet of apex predator crossed the arena floor in 4 strides. Training kicked in. Not combat training, but the muscle memory of 100 childhood summers, the geometry of timing and distance that every kid who'd ever played sports knew in their bones. Kira didn't run. Running would have been pointless. Instead, she planted her back foot, rotated her hips, and swung. The bat connected with the champion's knee, the joint specifically where the chitinous plating separated to allow articulation, with a crack that echoed through the suddenly silent arena. The Vrex stumbled. Not much, just enough. Just enough for Kira to pivot, skip backward 3 steps, and reset her stance. The champion recovered, faster than she'd hoped. He came again, but different now. Cautious, measuring. He'd felt that hit. Felt that human bone-deep understanding of leverage and momentum that came from evolving on a planet where throwing things accurately meant the difference between eating and starving. Kira watched his eyes. Watched the micro-adjustments in his posture. The Vrex fought with pattern and precision. They were trained, disciplined, predictable. He feinted left. She saw it coming. The tell was in his shoulders. She shifted right, brought the bat around in a low arc that connected with his ribs. The champion caught the bat. Oh, hell. His hand closed around the wood. Squeezed. The ash creaked. Kira felt the vibration run up her arms. Their eyes met. The Vrex champion smiled. A predator's smile. Then Kira let go of the bat, dropped into a crouch, and swept his legs. He went down hard. The impact rattled the arena floor. Kira rolled away, came up empty-handed. The bat lay 3 feet away. The champion was already rising. This was the part where training said you reassessed, regrouped, created distance. This was the part where Kira Chen, who'd been underestimated her entire life, who'd fought her way through 14 diplomatic postings where men twice her size assumed she was somebody's assistant. So who'd survived an assault at 19 that everyone said would break her. Who'd built herself back up one day at a time with therapy and rage and the stubborn refusal to let the world tell her what she couldn't do. This was the part where she got angry. Not the hot, sloppy anger that made you stupid. The cold kind. The calculating kind. The kind that felt like coming home. The champion charged. Kira didn't go for the bat. She went for his eyes. In the council viewing platform, Ambassador Thren stood very still. Around him, the other ambassadors leaned forward. The crystalline collective, who experienced reality across 17 simultaneous spectrums, flickered with colors that roughly translated to fascination. The hive mind of Kepler 442b, whose individual drones never acted without consensus, and found themselves experiencing something unprecedented: disagreement among their nodes about the combat's outcome. "She fights without honor," Thren said, to no one in particular. "She fights to win," the crystalline ambassador replied. "There is a difference. The Vrex champion has trained for 73 standard years. Yes, I suspect that is part of the problem." On the arena floor, Kira rolled under a strike that would have decapitated her, came up inside the champion's guard, and drove her elbow into his throat. Not hard enough to crush, the Vrex anatomy made that impossible, but hard enough to disrupt his breathing. The champion staggered. Confusion flickered across his face. She wasn't fighting like an opponent. She was fighting like prey that had decided it was done being prey. "This is not how trial combat proceeds," Thren said, but his voice had lost its certainty. "No," the hive mind spokesdrone agreed. "It is not." Kira grabbed the bat. The champion's hand shot out to stop her. She wasn't reaching for the barrel. She grabbed the handle, spun, and drove the fat end of the bat straight up into his jaw. The champion's head snapped back. He dropped, didn't get up. The arena went silent. 70,000 beings from 200 species, and not one of them made a sound. Kira stood over the fallen champion, bat in hand, breathing hard. Blood ran from her nose. Her left eye was swelling shut. 3 ribs felt cracked. Her right knee screamed every time she put weight on it. She'd won. Against every prediction, every probability, every smug assumption. She'd won. "Trial by combat complete," the arena's automated system intoned. "Or victory. Human-designated Kira Chen." Still silence. Then, slowly, a sound started building. Not laughter this time. Something else. Something that might have been respect or fear, or the unsettling realization that they'd miscalculated badly. Kira looked up at the council platform, met Thren's eyes across the distance. "Article 92, she said, and her voice carried through the translation matrix. "The victor of trial by combat may claim one concession from the defeated party's government. I claim Earth's exemption from the colonial expansion lottery." The humans got their concession. 70,000 beings watched as the Galactic Council, bound by their own ancient laws, granted Earth sovereignty over its own system. No forced colonization, no mandatory resource sharing, no cultural assimilation. Thren bowed. It was shallow, perfunctory, but it was a bow. Kira turned and walked toward the exit tunnel. Each step sent pain shooting through her knee. She didn't limp, wouldn't give them that. Behind her, the arena erupted. Species who'd dismissed humanity as harmless, suddenly reassessing, calculating, wondering what else they'd gotten wrong about the strange little species from the yellow star. In the tunnel, away from the lights in the eyes, Kira Chen let herself stumble, caught herself against the wall, slid down to sit, bat still clutched in her hands. Director Patel's voice crackled in her ear. "You're clear. Medical team is en route. Kira, you did it." "Yeah," she said. To herself, mostly. "Yeah, I did." The bat's wood was warm in her hands. Solid. Real. She'd walked into the arena alone. She'd walked out the same way. But everything had changed. 2/2. The medical bay smelled like antiseptic and something floral. The crystalline collective insisted promoted healing. Kira didn't buy it, but she also wasn't in a position to argue, considering her ribs were being knitted back together by a device that looked like a cross between a spider and a harp. "Hold still." Dr. Osei's hands moved with practiced efficiency, guiding the medical array. "The bone density readings are... Actually, these are remarkable. You should have had compound fractures. The impact force alone... But I didn't. No, you didn't. Osei pulled back, studying her with the expression doctors got when the patient defied the textbook. Adrenaline can account for some of it, but the biomechanics don't add up. That last hit should have shattered your arm. Kira flexed her fingers, and the arm in question felt fine. Sore, but fine. Guess I got lucky. Luck? Osei didn't sound convinced. Right. Well, your luck is cleared for discharge. The council wants you at tomorrow's session. 900 hours, station time. What session? The one where they figure out what to do about you. Kira's quarters were nicer than she'd expected. The council had upgraded her from the standard diplomatic suite to something that probably housed visiting dignitaries. Multiple rooms, actual windows overlooking the station's central garden sphere, furniture that hadn't been designed by a committee trying to accommodate 17 different body plans. She stood at the window, watching the garden rotate. Crystalline trees that sang in frequencies just below human hearing. At pools that served as both water features and living spaces for the aquatic depths. A carefully maintained ecosystem that was supposed to represent galactic unity. Political theater, all of it. Her tablet chimed. Message from Director Patel. You're famous or infamous, hard to tell which. The footage hit Earth 6 hours ago. Every news network is running it. They're calling you the Batgirl. Kira snorted. Batgirl. Perfect. The President wants to call you. Secretary of State is drafting talking points. And we're getting communication requests from 47 species. 47. Most of them want to know if humanity has more like you. Do we? She'd meant it as a joke. Typed it anyway. Sent it. Patel's response came back fast. 8 billion of us. What do you think? What did she think? Kira set the tablet down and stared at her reflection in the window. The swelling around her eye had gone down, courtesy of Osei's spider harp thing, but the bruising remained. Purple-black spreading across her cheekbone like spilled ink. She looked tired. Looked like someone who'd picked a fight with the universe and somehow hadn't lost. The door chimed. It's open. She expected Patel. Or maybe Osei with another round of scans. What she got was a Vrex warrior standing in her doorway, crest half raised in what their species considered a neutral greeting. Not just any Vrex. The champion. The one she'd put on the arena floor. I am called Kreth, he said. His translator rendered the words in flat, unaccented English. May I enter? Every muscle in Kira's body tensed, but she'd read the cultural protocols. And a Vrex warrior appearing at your door without weapons or escort was the equivalent of a white flag. Come in. Kreth moved carefully, deliberately. He was still 8 feet of apocalypse wrapped in chitin, but something about his posture had changed. Less predator, more student. That wasn't quite right, but it was close. He stopped 6 feet from her. Respectful distance. I came to understand. Understand what? How you defeated me. Kreth's crest rippled. Confusion, the protocol said, or frustration. I have trained since my 3rd year. Studied 17 combat forms. Fought in 243 trials. I should not have lost to... He stopped. To a human? Yes. Kira crossed her arms. Regretted it when her ribs protested. You lost because you fought the way you were trained. Training is... Kreth struggled for words. In training is everything. Discipline. Precision. Pattern. Yeah, that's the problem. Silence. Kreth's crest flattened entirely. The Vrex equivalent of a raised eyebrow. Kira gestured at the seating area. Sit. This is going to take a minute. They sat. Kreth folded himself onto furniture, clearly not designed for his frame. Kira took the chair opposite, pulling her feet up under her. Your people fight to win, right? She started. Of course. But you fight to win according to rules. Forms. Specific patterns that have been refined over generations. Kira leaned forward. You know what humans do? We make it up. Make it? I do not understand. We improvise, we adapt, we cheat. She smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. We do whatever works, even if it's stupid or ugly, or completely against the rules. Yid because survival doesn't give points for style. Kreth's crest rose slightly. The arena has rules. The arena has rules about what weapons you can use and when you can kill someone. It doesn't have rules about where you can hit or how you move or whether you're allowed to grab someone's legs and pull. Kira shrugged. You expected an opponent. I gave you a street fight. Street fight? Never mind. Point is, you're a better fighter than me. Stronger, faster, more experienced. But I didn't try to be a better fighter. I tried to win. Understanding flickered across Kreth's face, or what Kira interpreted as understanding. Reading Vrek's expressions was still more art than science. You fought without honor. I fought without your honor. There's a difference. Kreth stood, moved to the window, saw his reflection overlaid hers in the glass, human and Vrek's, predator and prey, except the labels didn't quite fit anymore. The Council fears you now, he said quietly. Not you specifically, your species. They believed humans were weak, unsuited for galactic politics, too emotional, too... He searched for the word. Too soft? And now they wonder what else they were wrong about. Kreth turned to face her. I wonder the same thing. Before Kira could respond, her tablet chimed again. Emergency frequency. She grabbed it. Patel's face filled the screen, and something in his expression made her stomach drop. We have a situation, he said. The council chamber was chaos. Kira had never seen it like this. In every previous session, the 12 ruling species maintained a facade of dignified order. Carefully choreographed debate, measured responses, the appearance of unity. Now they were shouting, translated into a dozen languages simultaneously, creating a cacophony that the chamber's acoustics somehow made worse. Director Patel materialized beside her. Hologram, she realized, still on Earth, projecting in. What the hell is happening? First contact, Patel said grimly. New species. They jumped into the system 4 hours ago. Didn't bother with standard protocols. Just started transmitting. Transmitting what? A challenge. To the Galactic Council. They want to join, but on their terms. And they want to prove they're worthy by... He stopped, looked at her. By defeating the Council's newest champion in trial by combat. Oh hell. They want me. They want you, specifically, by name. As apparently the arena footage made it into their initial intelligence sweep. They saw you beat Kreth and decided you were the benchmark. Ambassador Thren's voice cut through the chaos, amplified by the chamber's systems. Order. We must have order. The shouting tapered off. Resentfully, but it tapered. The Hikari demand trial by combat as a condition of their entry to the Galactic Council, Thren continued. This is their right under Article 97. However... He paused, crest rising in what Kira had learned to read as smug satisfaction. The human champion is under no obligation to accept. She has fulfilled her trial requirement. She may decline without prejudice. Every eye in the chamber turned to her. Kira felt it like physical pressure, the weight of expectation, calculation, fear. The council wanted her to decline, and she could see it in their postures, hear it in the sudden silence. Let this new species pick a different champion. Not our problem. What happens if I decline? She asked. Thren's crest flattened slightly. The Hikari may select another opponent, or they may withdraw their petition and approach the council through standard diplomatic channels. And if they withdraw, then we avoid complications. Complications. That was one word for it. Kira looked at the viewing screens displaying the Hikari vessel. It was massive, easily twice the size of the Council's largest warship, all sharp angles and aggressive architecture that screamed, "We are not here to make friends." The Hikari themselves appeared on the secondary screens. Bipedal, but that's where the similarity to humans ended. 7 feet tall. Covered in interlocking scales that shifted color with their mood, eyes that could track independently like a chameleon's. The lead Hikari, identified as War Caller Jesh, stared out from the screen with an expression that needed no translation. Contempt, pure and simple. The human champion hesitates. Jesh's translator rendered her words in something approximating amusement. Perhaps the arena victory was fortune, an accident. We have watched the footage. We are not impressed. Something cold settled in Kira's chest. Not anger yet. Something colder. The feeling she got when someone made assumptions about what she could or couldn't do based on her size, her gender, her humanity. "Give me 24 hours, she said. Thren's crest rose fully. "You accept the challenge?" "I didn't say that. I said give me 24 hours. To decide? To train." The chamber erupted again. This time with what might have been laughter or horror or both. Hard to tell. Kira turned and walked out before anyone could stop her. In the corridor outside, Patel's hologram flickered alongside her. "Training? Kira, you're not seriously... I need someone who knows how the Hikari fight. Combat style, tendencies, weaknesses. Can you get me that information?" "Yes, but... And I need access to Earth's cultural database. Full access. Every combat sport, every martial art, every bar fight and street brawl ever recorded." "What are you planning?" "I'm planning to win." Kira stopped, met his eyes. They think yesterday was luck. They think humans got one good hit in and now we're out of our depth. They're expecting me to lose. "Maybe you should." She blinked. "What?" Patel's expression was complicated, worried. "You've done enough. You won Earth's sovereignty. That was the mission. You don't have to prove anything else. This isn't about proving anything. Then what is it about?" Kira thought about the laughter in the arena, the way the Council had dismissed humanity for 47 years, the assumptions, the condescension, the casual certainty that humans were soft, weak, unsuited for the larger universe. "It's about making sure they never underestimate us again," she said. The training room was empty. Station night cycle, most of the diplomatic staff were sleeping. Kira had the space to herself. She'd commandeered one of the combat simulation chambers, the kind the Vrex used for practice. The AI could generate opponents based on available data, full sensory feedback, adjustable difficulty. "Load Hikari combat profile," she told the system. "Difficulty, champion level." "Warning," the AI replied. "Hikari combat profiles have a 97% injury rate for non-Hikari participants. Recommend starting at novice level." Did I stutter? A pause. Then, loading. The holographic opponent materialized. 7 feet of scaled muscle, eyes tracking independently, stance that suggested coiled violence waiting to explode. The simulation attacked. Kira lasted 8 seconds. She found herself on her back. The simulation's clawed hand stopped an inch from her throat. The AI helpfully informing her that she would be mortally wounded at this point. "Reset," she gasped. "Recommend medical scan before..." Reset. The simulation reset. Kira stood, adjusted her stance. 8 seconds became 12. 12 became 15. On the 7th attempt, she lasted almost 30 seconds before the simulation got past her guard. Progress, sort of. "Your footwork is wrong." Kira spun. Kreth stood in the doorway, watching with his head cocked at an angle that suggested evaluation rather than mockery. "I thought you'd be celebrating," she said, "getting to watch me fail at this." "Why would I celebrate your failure? Because I beat you?" Kreth's crest rippled. "You defeated me fairly, according to your methods, but fairly. There is no shame in learning from a superior opponent." He stepped into the room. "May I? May you what?" "Assist." Kira studied him. Looked for the angle. The trap? Didn't find one. "Why?" "Because," Kreth said slowly, "I would very much like to see you defeat the Hikari. They are... was unpleasant. Unpleasant. They requested to join the Council 60 standard years ago. Were denied. They took this as an insult and spent 6 decades building their military. They are aggressive, expansionist. If they join the Council now, They will push for war. Many small species will suffer. And you care about that? Kreth's crest flattened. The Vrex value strength. But strength used to dominate the weak is not strength. It is cowardice. He gestured at the simulation. Show me what you have learned. They trained for 4 hours. Kreth broke down the Hikari combat style. Aggressive, overwhelming force meant to end fights quickly. They relied on their natural advantages, reach, strength, scales that could deflect most impacts. You cannot match their strength, Kreth said, after watching Kira get thrown across the room for the dozenth time. Stop trying. Use what humans have instead. Which is? I do not know. That is what you must discover. Helpful, real helpful. But he had a point. Kira called up the Earth Cultural Database. Started pulling files. Boxing, judo, Krav Maga, capoeira. 100 other systems, each developed by humans who'd needed to fight and survive. And other things too. Parkour, dance, gymnastics. The weird borderland between sport and art where humans did impossible things with their bodies just because they could. Something clicked. The Hikari are bigger and stronger, she said slowly, but they're also heavier. They have to be with that bone density, which means they have momentum. They have momentum. Kira pulled up a video of a matador working a bull. And momentum can be redirected. Kreth's crest rose fully. Something that might have been a smile crossed his face. Now you understand. They trained for another 4 hours. Then another 6. The station's day-night cycle came and went. Food appeared at some point, delivered by Osei, who took one look at Kira's condition, started to object, and was silenced by a look. By the end, Kira wasn't winning. Not consistently, but she was lasting longer, learning to read the simulation's tells. Finding the angles where strength didn't matter, because leverage did. It will not be enough, Kreth said finally. They'd collapsed against the wall, 2 beings from different worlds united in exhaustion. The simulation is limited by available data. The Hikari champion will be better, faster. I'm more experienced than the projection. I know. You may die. I know that too. Kreth's crest rippled. Then why do this? Kira thought about her answer. Could have given him something noble about duty or humanity's place in the stars. Could have talked about setting precedents or political necessity. Instead, she told him the truth. Because I'm tired of being underestimated. Because every time humans walk into a room, people make assumptions about what we can't do. And because someone needs to show the Hikari that bigger doesn't always mean better. She looked at him. Besides, you saw what humans are capable of. One human anyway. Imagine what happens when the rest of us decide to stop being polite. Kreth was silent for a long moment. I think, he said finally, I am very glad humanity is on this side of the galaxy. The 24 hours ended. Kira stood outside the arena holding chamber, feeling the weight of 8 billion people on her shoulders. The footage from yesterday's trial had spread across Earth faster than any news story in history. There were crowds in every major city, watch parties. People who'd never cared about galactic politics suddenly glued to screens. Humanity was watching. The universe was watching. And Kira Chen, who'd just wanted to be a decent diplomat and maybe not get killed in her first year, was about to walk into the arena again. Last chance to back out, Patel's voice murmured through her earpiece. Pass. Didn't think so. Listen, whatever happens in there... Director? You've already done more than anyone could have asked. Kira smiled. Well, see you on the other side. The door opened. Beyond it, the arena waited. And in the arena, Warcaller Jesh stood with her arms spread, scales shifting through colors that probably meant, I am going to enjoy this. Kira picked up her bat, felt its familiar weight. She'd walked into the arena alone once before. Here she was again. Everything was about to change. Again.